Good evening, everyone. Good evening. We're going to start off the meeting tonight, and we're going to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for our roll call tonight, we will have the supervisors go around the room and introduce themselves and say their district number and maybe give a little location of where their district is. We have so many new people, new faces, and we want people to get acquainted with the areas that you represent. So I will turn it over to the chair.
Hi, good evening. Monica Uhas. I'm chairman of the county board, District 17, which is on the west end of 39th Avenue up to 75th Street.
Supervisor Gens.
Jeff Gens, Supervisor District 3. It's over by Tremper, Jane Vernon, South Side, that area.
Daniel Gashke, District 7, County Board Vice Chair. District 7 includes the Civic Center area, including the courthouse and the county admin building, and then goes west out to 30th Avenue, so the very heart of the central city. Been on the board since 2018.
Stephanie Nez, District 2, that's like the downtown area, Sheridan Road to the lake, and then down south to the Pleasant Prairie border, approximately.
Hello, Andres Comlet, District number 6. So imagine Carthage all going all the way down to Washington Roadish, and then from the east lake going all the way to Dairy Queen on 22nd, roughly.
Sarah Kirby, District 8. I'm the neighborhood consists of the St. Joe's neighborhood, the Lincoln Park neighborhood, a little bit of the Uptown neighborhood, and it's primarily north of 75th between 30th Avenue and Sheridan Road.
Felix Garcia, District 10. The best way to explain it, McKinley Elementary, Upsala, where the new Human Services building is, where the buses go to the transit center.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Guida Brown, District 11, newly elected. I'm in the dead center of town by Pioli's Bakery, Forest Park, and across 39th Avenue. Across the street from Forest Park. That's where I grew up, so that's what everyone always said. Oh, you live in Forest Park? No, I don't. I live across the street from Forest Park, so I still live there.
Gabe Duda, District 12. I'm over west of 51st Avenue to 94th Court, and then between 60th Street and 83rd Street, roughly.
John Franco, District 13. In between 75th Street and 60th Street and 152nd Avenue, almost to 88th or so.
Tim Stocker, District 14, basically from 63rd Street going north to Washington Avenue, and then from 39th Avenue out about to the I. That's my area. Thank you.
Frederick Brookhouse, District 16. It's the eastern half of Pleasant Prairie, from the state line to about 85th Street here, out from the lake out to 39th Avenue.
Hi, Keith Gray, District 19, which is west of the I, encompasses all of Bristol, Brighton, Paris, and about a third of Summers. And there may be as much livestock as there are people. So,
John Poole, District 20, which is Paddock Lake and the northeastern part of Salem.
Mark Nordigan, District 21, consists of Salem Lakes, Twin Lakes, and Randall. Salem Lakes from the state line to about Highway F, and from Bristol to Randall, and then about the same section in Randall up till it gets to Twin Lakes, a little bit of Twin Lakes. That used to be Randall.
County Board Supervisor Aaron Decker, District 22. Salem Lakes, I would say it's the area of Silver Lake plus the area surrounding it. All of Wheatland, a portion of Randall, and that's about it.
Supervisor Gray, actually there are a couple horses that were out running last night on Highway E last night. So I don't know, did we So now I'm going to turn it over to my directors and division heads, and they are going to introduce themselves and give you a little snapshot of what division they're part of and how many years they've been with the county.
Shelley Billingsley, I'm the Director of Public Works, been with the county 2 years, but been in municipal government for almost 20.
I'm Patty Merrill, I'm the Finance Director. I've been with the county for a little over 10 years, and I've been the Finance Director for 7.
John Jansen, I'm the Director of the Department of Human Services, held that position since 2008 and have 33 plus years with the county.
Hi all, I'm Pam Larson and I'm the Area Extension Director with UW-Madison in their Division of Extension, and I've been with Extension for 5 years.
Andy Bueller, Director of Planning and Development, been with the county 33 years.
Nick Ruth, I'm the Finance Manager of Public Works. I've been with the county for 8 years.
I'm Wyatt Moore, I'm the Interim Parks Director. I've been with the county for 2 years.
I'm James Wallace. I'm the Director of the Golf Division. I've been with the Kenosha County for 2 years.
Kwame Magashi with Highways, 2 years.
Hi, Matt Storino, Director of Facilities Maintenance. I'll be on 10 years come this December.
Chris Walton, CFO Public Works, been with the county for 7 years.
Pamela Condos, I've been with the county for 12 years, and I'm with the Division of Children and Family Services.
Hi, everybody. This is Ron Rogers. I'm the Director of the Division of Children and Family Services. Been in that position since 2008, and I've been with the county approximately 23 years.
Clara Tappa, Director of Human Resources. I've been with the county since 2018.
Ashley Lutterman, Assistant Director of Human Resources. I've been with the county since 2015.
Patty Hall, Kenosha County Medical Examiner's Office, and I've been here since September of 2011.
Linda Bogdala, the Administrator for Brookside Care Center and Willowbrook Assisted Living, and I have been here for 6 years.
Matthew Fleming with the Purchasing Division. I've been here for 7 years. Brian Beth, Manager of Fiscal Services and Payroll. I've been here since May of 2017.
Scott Schutze, Director of the Division of Land Information. I've been with the county since 1996.
Mike Bacinelli, CIO with IT, and I've been with the county for 23 years.
Good evening, Lori Plummer. I've been with the county for 3 years, new to my role for 1 year as the Kenosha County Public Health Director.
Rebecca Dutter, I'm the Assistant Director of Human Services. I've been with the county for 25 years.
Sorry.
Justin Miller, Chief Deputy, Kenosha County Sheriff's Department, 22 years.
Angela Cabaz, Kenosha County Sheriff's Department Fiscal Services Manager, and I just celebrated 3 years.
Sergeant Chris Hanna, I'm the Director of Emergency Management. I've been with the county for 19 years.
Hi, I'm Tammy Capito, and it will be 6 years tomorrow. I am the CFO for Human Services.
Marcy Gilbertson, Fiscal Services Manager for Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health. I've been with the county since 2006.
Chiquetta Gerhart, Fiscal Manager for Children and Family and Workforce Development, and I've been with the county since 2015.
Tracy Pelishuk, Fiscal Manager for Kenosha County Public Health for just under 2 years.
Mary Byer, Director, Juvenile Court Intake. I think I'm the winner here. 1985, I started as an intern. I was hired the next year. It's 38 years.
Carly McNeil, Deputy District Attorney, 13 years at the DA's office.
Rebecca Mataska-Menting, Clerk of Circuit Court, but I've been with the county since 1998.
My name is Bob Pitts. I'm Chairman of the Board of Trustees at Brookside. I've been on since 1990.
Joe Potente, Communications Manager with the county for 7 years in a couple of weeks.
Frank Martinelli, Project Manager, Facilities, Department of Public Works, 14 years.
Doug Bartz, Executive Director of the Southeastern Workforce Board, a little over 12 years.
Dustin Feeney, the Director of the Division of Workforce Development. I have been with the county for 26 years, but 1 year in my current role. Thanks.
Hi, Jennifer Blasi. I'm the Director of Veteran Services, and I've been with the county for 11 years.
I'm Carrie Foss. I'm the Director of the Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health, and I've been here for 4 years.
I'm Jenny Parkinson, Behavioral Health Manager for Kenosha County for less than a year.
I'm Lauren Yanakopoulos, the Quality Analyst with the Division of Aging. I've been here for less than 1 year as well.
Heather Van Oss, Manager for Aging and Disability, and with the county for 2 years.
Terry Jacobson, Kenosha County Treasurer, been here since 2002.
Mike Gravely, thought I was going to win, got here in 1989. Thanks, Mary. Mary Byer was a grizzled veteran by the time I got here. But John Jansen, I remember as a brand new guy, I was highly skeptical when he started. I got elected DA in 2016. I'm retiring. My term ends in January. I think this is my last of these, so you won't have to hear from me in terms of any introductions ever again.
Hi, I'm Joellen Storrs. I am the Kenosha County Register of Deeds. I'm in my 30th year in the Register of Deeds office. I was elected to be the Register of Deeds in 2012, and I too will be retiring at the end of this term. This is my last budget division session. Thank you all for the work that you do to take care of Kenosha County and keep us moving forward.
Well, thank you to Joellen and Mike for their
Barna Bench, I'm the Budget Director. I've been with the county just a few months short of 25 years, and the Budget Director, I believe, 9 years.
Matt Lays, Assistant Budget Director. I've been with the county for about 14 years.
David Zerner, I've been with the Kenosha County Sheriff's Office for 25 years, been the sheriff for 16 months.
All right, well, now I get to thank Dave and Joellen for their leadership. And again, good luck in the next chapter as you guys finish out your terms. We do appreciate your service to Kenosha County, so thank you. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce my team over there. They didn't stand up and say their names, but if we could give Jill and Stacy a big round of applause. And maybe they could introduce themselves as well. Jill and Stacy, did you want to stand up? Just introduce yourselves.
I'm sorry, I am Office Administrator and Community Engagement Coordinator for the County Executive's Office, and here for 2 years. The Kenosha News before that. Stacy Ramon, I've been here going on 11 years. I was with the Sheriff's Department for 9.5 years as a correctional officer, and then I went over to the County Executive's Office.
Awesome. Thank you for organizing everything and putting it on tonight. I really do appreciate it. And also, just want to say thank you to everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules today to be here, to be part of this Budget Vision meeting. This is the second one that we've had, and I think that the first one was very productive. This one even takes on a whole nother meeting, and being here with my new chair and the 9 new supervisors. So again, we didn't do this my first year. So again, really looking forward to working with you over the next 2 years. And I do want to just thank all the directors and division heads for their time and effort of putting together. So before you will see a packet of information. And there's a lot of information in there. And we went a little bit more than we did last year, and we did that because we have 9 new people that have joined us. And tonight you'll hear an overview of many different divisions and what they do and how they work for the residents of Kenosha County. What we do here is so important. It impacts people's lives pretty much every day. And you might get that phone call about the pothole or, something that's going on with their mom or dad and how to solve those problems. So what you do is so important to the community. And so tonight is the first step in a long process. I had learned about, again, I too spent many years in public service, but as the county exec, really got to know a wonderful team. And I'm really thankful that every day that I get to come to work, I get to work with the men and women who help Kenosha County be a better place. It truly is very, very special. I get to work with elected officials like you that every single day get to make a difference. And so that is why this session is so important, because we need to figure out together how to be stronger. We might not agree on issues, and that's okay. I mean, I spent many times in Madison debating issues, but it's that how you get to that final product and how we work together to make it fit Kenosha County and fit what our constituents needs. Now today, as you introduced yourself, you represent very diverse parts of one county. The lakefront all the way out to Randall and Twin Lakes, very diverse in between. And the needs are very diverse. My parents live as far away from this building. They live on 395th Avenue in Randall. So when they had to come down here to get their vaccine, it was scary. My mom and dad don't usually drive through stoplights, and coming all the way down here gets a little nerve-wracking for them. But then to the people who live and might have their own challenges within some of our most challenged neighborhoods in the city of Kenosha, I have learned over time that has, we need to lift and rise those neighborhoods up as well. And so that's where the needs are very different from Western Kenosha County to down here. And we all need to work together to find common ground and find those solutions that help everybody. Again, we might not always agree, but we have to work together, and that's why we're here. And I'm looking forward to working with this new leadership team. And, at this time, I'll turn it over to Monica to give a few remarks as we get going here tonight.
Thank you, Samantha. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight to the Budget and Vision Working Session. As we gather here tonight, we embark on our fiscal planning process, one that requires diligence, collaboration, and a steadfast commitment to serving the needs of our community. I encourage each of you to approach today's discussion with an open mind, ready to engage in constructive dialogue and thoughtful analysis. Our goal is not merely to balance numbers on a spreadsheet, but to craft a budget that reflects our shared values and priorities as stewards of public resources. As we navigate through the complexities of budget planning, let's remain mindful of our duty to uphold transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. Together, we have an opportunity to shape a budget that reflects the aspirations of our community and empowers us to address the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Thank you all for being here tonight. I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and also with the county exec on the next budget. So thank you all very much.
Next, we have Supervisor Gens would like to say some remarks on behalf of being the finance chair.
Thank you. Some of the things that are going to be important to me and the finance committee moving forward are going to be our obviously our AAA bond rating, keeping our general fund balance strong. Something else I'm going to look to do is get back to the practice of having fiscal notes with everything. We got away from that a little bit, but I want transparency, and especially with a lot of new people, I want everybody to know where the money goes coming and going, even if it balances out. So everything financial going forward, we're going to make it a policy that there has to be a fiscal note with it. I want to get back to our levy limit resolution that for the last 2 years has not been active. We didn't pass it 2 years ago. It didn't make it out of committee last year. So I think that's an important piece to transparency and working with the executive's office on the budget. Our constituents elect us to be fiscally responsible, and we want to carry that through. And I think that's a tool to use in that regard. Some of the updates that I'm going to want, which will probably touch most all of you in this building, the Human Services building, the jump in price. I'm not going to go back and rehash that, but I want to know where we're at with that. Brookside, census, budgeting, bonding, all that, I'm going to have Brookside come in. Placements, adult and juvenile placements. I want to know, in the past, we've been surprised by various placements. I don't want to have that happen this year, so we're going to have them come in and talk to us. Want an update on Lake Behavioral, how that saved us money, how our mental health program is going. That's been important to me since for probably my whole 16 years on the board. The Human Services restructure with different people moving around in divisions, I want that to come before us to talk about that. And then I want to talk to the Sheriff's Department about where they are with their budget. So I'll be asking you guys to come in. And your genius financial girl over there who I tried to steal for finance a couple years ago, but I can't pry away. So that's a little bit about where the Finance Committee is going to be looking and going, and I appreciate everybody's hard work and dedication. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Gentz. And again, tonight, we're also going to hear from our division heads, the three big, as I like to call it, Public Works, Human Services, and then the Sheriff's Department. Again, there's a lot of information that we won't cover tonight, but you'll have that to take home. At the end, we do have opportunities for people to ask questions. And if you don't understand something somebody's saying, please raise your hand and we'll call on you and make sure you get your question answered. If somebody says something you're not sure of, I want to make sure that we have everybody's questions answered tonight, and that you're able to add things that you might have. Some of you might not have that necessarily list put together tonight, but this is just an overview for everybody to get a perspective. Yeah. Oh, get closer to the, okay. All right. Okay. I will speak directly. Okay. I promise to speak closely, and I will speak into it, so. Okay, sorry about that. And again, tonight is being audio recorded so that you can go back. For the supervisors that weren't able to attend tonight, it will be put up on the website as well so that you can, if you want to revisit a part of it or weren't sure what was talked about. So again, at this time, we're going to turn it over to Director Billing, or to our finance team. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself tonight.
You can skip on.
Turn it over to Patty Merrill and Barna and Matt.
Thank you. Good evening. As I said earlier, I'm Patty Merrill and I'm the Finance Director for Kenosha County. I know everyone introduced themselves, but I think it's important for you to understand who the finance team is because the finance team is here this evening. The finance team consists of our budget team, which is the director, Barna Bench, and Assistant Director Matt Lays. Please ignore his name tag. We have purchasing here, which is led by Director Matt Fleming. And in addition, Kenosha County has fiscal staff embedded at each location of the county. Tammy Capito is our CFO at Human Services. Chris Walton is the CFO at Public Works. Jaquetta Gerhardt is the fiscal manager of Children and Family Services in the Division of Workforce Development. And Marcy Gilbertson is the fiscal manager of the Division of Aging and Behavioral Health. Tracy, and I'm sorry, Tracy, I don't remember your last name, is the fiscal manager of the Division of Health. Nick Ruth is the fiscal manager of Public Works. Angela Cabaz is the fiscal manager in the Sheriff's Department. Bethany Lofgren is the fiscal manager of Circuit Court. I don't think she's here this evening, but she has an important role as well. Teresa Lopez is the fiscal manager at Brookside, and Brian Beth is the fiscal manager of payroll. Each of these staff members and more play a role in the budget process in maintaining their budgets, reporting to both the administration and the board on the fiscal condition of the county, and are instrumental in the year-end close process. We have just closed out 2023 and we're preparing for the audit, but in closing 23, we had many successes. We added almost $1 million to the unassigned general fund, which brings us to an unaudited 32% of unassigned reserves as a percentage of expenditures. We were able to set aside $2.2 million towards the Human Services building, which we will purchase in 7 years. We earmarked remaining ARPA funds to complete the spend down by the end of 2024. The county adopted a capital improvement policy manual and debt reduction and management plan, and we had a unanimous 2024 budget adoption by the county board. Barna will walk us through looking forward at 2024 and 25, as well as some projects that are in the works. Barna?
Thank you, Patty. So some of those milestones that I'd like to touch on for the finance team and for the county would be in early May coming up here, working with the external auditors in their preparation for field work and for the audit of the year-end financials. Later in the month of May, we'll be rolling out and kicking off the 2025 budget by sending out budget manual, payroll and personnel information, and all the documents related to that as well. In late July, we'll be proceeding with a rating agency presentation with Standard & Poor's. This year we'll be presenting before one rating agency instead of two for various reasons. Capital financing will then occur in August. We'll go out to market in mid-August, and then this is for the CIP. This is for the capital items in the 2024 budget, and the settlement date and the cash is received in early September. And then in early September, there's a similar vision type meeting than this for the capital improvement plan. It's kind of an early preview of the capital that would be proposed for 2025. For 2025, touching on that a little bit, so we had a large class and compensation study that was implemented beginning this year. So the plan for 2025 budget will be kind of a minor refresh with the consultants that we use, and then 2026 budget will be a full market refresh. There's information in here.
Sure. Yeah, I have a quick question. Could you briefly define what a minor and a major full market refresh are? That sounds like money, and I'm just curious what we're doing, a whole new study, or, you know, what are we doing?
I'd like to kick that to...
Sure. So what he's referring to as a minor refresh is an aging of our wage schedule by the consultant. It's a $500 fee, and what they do is refer to all of the different salary surveys that are conducted that they have in-house, and they age forward our wage schedule. So a full market study would be when they go out and do full market comparables for our wages. So when we did the one in 23, finalized that was a classification and compensation. This would be the market study of the compensation piece. So it is not at the same cost level as what we did then, but it's significantly more than an aging.
Thank you.
Sure. Well, also for 2025, I listed the internal service funds. So we're tracking within budget for this year or below for liability and workers' compensation. For the health insurance, medical claims are coming in as expected with the new administrator. Under budget, prescriptions, expenditures are coming in over budget at this point, but we'll be digging into more of that to see what are the reasons for the over budget to this point. Other positive developments we see coming forward is the county investment revenue continuing to be strong as our lower interest rate instruments age out. We're able to refresh those with higher interest rates, and that'll greatly affect our bottom line. Sales tax, we've only got a couple of months in for this year because it's 2 months separated from when it's collected. So we don't have a lot of information yet, but right now it's just tracking it even. One of the challenges that I'd like to point out is as we spend down the ARPA funds, we won't necessarily directly have ARPA funding within the 2025 budget. However, we are using that up for the year end 2023 and for 2024, which will then flow through to the general fund, which will allow for the good financial outcome that we had for 23 and potentially for use for 2025 budget. We'll see if we need that or not. An update on some of the projects that finance is working on. For this year, we'd like to take a fresh look at having a fraud policy for the county. Also, a county donation policy. We have a number of policies related for donations, within the county, and we'd like to take a look to see if there's a countywide that we could. Yes. Sorry. Is that better? Yes. Sorry. Another project that we have ongoing is working with the Sheriff's Department regarding the federal marshal inmate revenue and related expenditures. That rate has not changed for 20 years, and we've put in an application to have that increased. We're awaiting the results of that decision. Along with that decision will be a review of the overall expenditures to make sure that continuation of that program is cost effective for the county. And the last thing I wanted to note too was that this year we'd like to have a kind of a budget process, capital financing 101 class that we'd like to put on this summer for the new county board supervisors, and of course any other supervisors that would like to come in for a refresher. But it'll go through kind of the whole budget process and the whole capital financing pieces. Those are obviously important to the overall fiscal health of the county. With that, I'll turn it over to Patty.
In the finance packet that you got, on page 3 is what we refer to as the general fund forecast. I'm not going to walk you through this line by line. What I want to do is just get you familiar with it. This particular one is the 2023 general fund year-end forecast and was presented to the board as part of the closeout resolution earlier this month. The report is provided to the Finance Administration Committee monthly beginning in June or July. By June or July, we've begun to get together more significant financial information. We have several months of sales tax in, we see where interest revenue is at, and other things up and down, and we're able to make some projections to come up with this forecast. The top portion shows surpluses, and the second section shows deficits. So these are comparisons of actuals to the budget for the year. The report then shows net increase or decrease to the general fund reserves and an estimated year-end unassigned general fund balance. The county has adopted a fund balance reserve policy, which identifies that the county will maintain reserves at a minimum of 17% of audited general fund operating expenditures, and the county shall have a target reserve balance of 30%. The general fund report includes a comparison of our balance to the 17% minimum and at the bottom in the box provides a recap of the estimated year-end balance, the increase or decrease over the prior year, and the reserves as a percentage of the general fund expenditures. Again, this is a report that comes forward and occasionally will then just be put on supervisors' desks so everyone can take a look at it. It helps to show where we're performing in comparison to the budget.
Supervisor Nordigan has a question.
Thank you, Madam Executive. Patty, I still have this problem that I know we want to be over 17%. I'm okay with the 30%, but we went from 32.05% to 33.88%. Should Finance Committee be looking at, if we're going to maintain that, when we keep getting higher and higher and higher and higher, should we be using that to pay down debt or look at a CIP project for the next year? And I know we've done that in the past recently, but should we have a policy in which we should be looking at once we get over 30%? Should we make some sort of policy where the board or the finance committee would put forward to the board what we should do with that amount? Because I don't see the reasoning for continuing to grow that at a higher percentage.
And I will note that it did go down slightly. There are some variables involved. We don't know what the actual general fund expenditures are until the very end of the year. So beginning in the year, we're using a projected number. So we really don't know exactly where that's going to fall, and that percentage can change quite a bit in a short period of time. Again, our policy talks about using the audited figures, so we would be looking back. We wouldn't necessarily be looking at these unaudited figures. We would look at the actual audited figures.
And I agree with that. It would just be after we know what it is.
Yes.
If we can, this is what we're going to do. It doesn't have to be the same thing all the time, or it could be nothing. But I just would like the Finance Committee to at least have some sort of opportunity to deal with it the way they think the county should deal with it, or at least the executive have some sort of plan.
Right.
So.
Well, yes, we can take a look at
and
that.
Supervisor Morgan and I will just say, so when we were dealing with the closeout, we did talk about putting that extra reserve into our human services budget. We put extra into the human services fund so that we could, again, as I asked for additional dollars, or we put forth our initial bonding resolution. That was a real reason to put more and tuck it away so that we can pay down that quickly.
And that's great. I just want to look for structure. That's all.
Yeah. And one of the other key components was we had a lot more interest earned this year. We had just because of we did well on our interest accounts, so that was very beneficial to us.
If I could jump into a couple of points on that too. We just recently, within the last year or two, within the last 2 or 3 years, I should say, reached that 30% mark, and that's considered kind of the gold standard for what the rating agencies consider. It's also a buffer for recession. I've been here long enough to know that, in early 2000s, the general fund was in the low, 4 or 5 million. I mean, it was a concern whether or not to make payroll. So, in addition to that, the general fund, the percentage is actually a percentage of the general fund expenditures, and that goes up every year with inflation and everything. So literally, if you don't add to the general fund, then that percentage will erode over time. So those are just things.
Percentage increase. And the way I'm saying is, somebody needs to say, this is what we're going to do this year with it. That we have to have a structure to say that. That could be, anyone that talks to the finance department, finance committee, and that finance committee makes their recommendation.
Right. We can make that possibly a part of the budget.
Yeah. Okay.
At budget time too. Very good.
And now Varna will walk you through the budget process and the tentative calendar for 2024. Thank you.
On the same subject as budget, so I wanted to give everyone just a preliminary look at kind of the timeline of how this all works. There's lots of lines and details of dates and things, all which is subject to change potentially, but the main ones are pretty much locked in. So the first one is today. Today is the vision session. Then there are some preliminary steps having to do with collecting capital requests for IT. Then at the end of May, we'll be distributing information to the departments so that they can put their budgets together using the information that we're providing them for personnel, and then obviously for their needs. Purchasing is then used to develop pricing to be used for departments' budgets. And then at the end of July, those budgets are then turned into the finance team. And in early August, then each one of the departments and divisions come before the county executive and the finance team and some oversight chairs from committees, and to go through their budget and to explain what's in there, what new requests, why they are where they are in their request. Then through August and then September, we're going through and trying to work through the budget, trying to work it to a manageable level to keep the tax levy increase as low as possible. And then the first Tuesday of October, is when that proposed budget is then presented to the full county board. Immediately thereafter, then each one of the oversight committees will then review budgets that the oversight committees that they report to, and then those committees meetings, recommendations may be made to adjust the budget, and then those recommendations are then communicated and discussed at the Finance Committee budget hearings, which start for this year, we're looking at the third week of October. Then when those conclude, we put the final budget together, and then by that time, we're at the first reading and hopefully for adoption for the budget. This year it'll be delayed by one day because of election day being that Tuesday, so it'll be Wednesday and Thursday of that week. So, thank you.
I just want to clarify for the new supervisors, those budget hearings begin on that Monday, and they are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of that week. So Finance Committee meets each of those nights and hears the budget presentation from each of the budget directors. And typically, other supervisors are welcome to come and to listen and participate depending on how the chair of the committee wishes to run the hearings.
Any questions for the finance team at this time so far? All right. Seeing none, well then I'm going to have Shelley, the Director of Human Public Works, go over her budget. And again, if you wanted to follow, she won't go page by page because it's quite lengthy, but that is the Public Works. Good evening, and it's nice to meet all the new supervisors this evening. Department of Public Works is what I kind of think of as a combination of the physical assets, management practices, and personnel that are necessary to construct and maintain our facilities owned by the county for public use and enjoyment. So I'm just going to have all of our directors just stand up briefly so you kind of see which ones incorporate our Public Works Department, if they could do so after they did their introductions. This encompasses all of our facilities at DPW as well as our UW Extension office. So I will be going through a little bit about each department and kind of some highlights, as I do have a lengthy packet in front of you as far as DPW goes. With that, I will kick it off with highways. Last year, we were able to put together a map showing all of the impacted roadways throughout the county that were constructed in 2023. We did that in collaboration with all the municipalities and townships within the county. So that is available for all of your use and is posted on our website and is incorporated in your packet. With that, we do cover approximately 13 miles of roadway that are resurfaced by our highway crews internally. We manage that as well as funding that we receive for resurfacing of other roadways, such as, for example, we have County Trunk Highway H, we have County Trunk L, and we have County Trunk E, just to name a few that will be getting funds from the state level as well as federal level to do some resurfacing on those roadways. Moving on to planning and development services, we were able to upgrade our permit software in 2023, and we're able to move that to a web-based application, really aiming towards our customer service, which has incorporated and reduced a lot of our traffic internally, but we have received a lot of good feedback and being able to do that when it's convenient for them on the weekends when our office may not be open. We updated the floodplain ordinance to FEMA and state floodplain model ordinance with the new Fox River floodplain panels and the flood insurance study. We will be working with CABA and the Kenosha Thrive Housing Action Team to plan for a housing task force.
And we are looking to partner with the City of Kenosha to advance tax delinquent and or contaminated properties to put those ultimately back on the tax roll for redevelopment. Moving on to parks, in front of you, you have the new activity guide. This has been updated and undated, so we're hoping that this can continue with future years if nothing in there has changes throughout the year. In the past, we have made those more date specific, so we're hoping that these will be more universal and can be kept for a longer period of time. Through our use of social media in the parks, we have actually increased our park events and amenities by almost 35% on social media. So we're seeing a growth in the users of our park system. We're in the process of a feasibility study for our Thielen Midwest International Interstate Trail, which will connect Illinois and Wisconsin to our great bike system that we have implemented. We have been awarded roughly $1.3 million in outside funding for projects outside of highways, so that number does not include our highway department. And we've been able to first hold our inaugural ceremonial holiday tree lighting. We planted a live tree, so that tree will be used for years and years to come. And we've held our first ever Rhythm on the Lake concert series at Old Settlers Park. So we'll be happy to see each one of you out there this year. We're continuing the comprehensive review of parks equipment, facility upgrades and replacements, which include our parking lots, roofs, playground equipment, bathroom renovations, landscaping, security, and fencing. Moving on to our golf division. We continue to improve the customer experience with our great conditions and service at our Brightondale Links and Petrifying Springs Golf Course. We completed a drainage study at Brightondale, and we're beginning to planning the drainage improvements. We're going to complete the improvements to the Red Pines 9 and practice facility in the fall of 2024. We define and implemented best management practices in both golf maintenance operations, and we're continuing to promote golf to our youth and form partnerships with schools and colleges to keep the interest. We are looking to partner with the City of Kenosha this year on implementation of a possible first tee program that they will hold at Muni. And due to the early spring type of weather, we are approximately 3,300 rounds ahead of last year at this time. Facilities, we are working with the Sheriff and Kenosha Police Departments for remodeling of the washroom shower room at the Public Safety Building. We have installation of two large generators coming, one at KCC and one at Brookside. To note, Brookside will be adequate to power the entire building. Adding radio and communication system redundancy for emergency applications. So if there's a power loss at our main tower, the communication system will be up and running through redundancy at another tower. We're finalizing implementation of power monitoring systems that will notify county staff for power outages remotely. And the construction of the Human Services Building in what is known as the Sun Plaza will be opening tentatively scheduled in early 2026. UW Extension, they are aiming to teach youth life skills that would prepare them to be successful citizens, build capacity of families, organizations, and communities to navigate transitions, deal with stress, increase financial security, and lead a healthy life. They're going to increase environmental knowledge and provide answers to the questions, and protect natural resources and promote agricultural practices that are sustainable and economically viable. So thank you all.
Thank you, Shelley. I just want to alert people, the last 3 pages in your DPW booklet have the human services. There's a deeper dive in there for everybody, and a chart going forward that will show the finances going forward of the project. So that's in the last three pages in the DPW packet. So, and now I'll turn it over to John and his team for an overview of human services.
Thank you. I'd be remiss if I didn't have my team stand up so everyone could see them. Thank you, Shelley, for making me do it. No. Folks, if you could just stand up for a second. You've already introduced yourselves. This is the team in Human Services and the various divisions that we'll talk about briefly here. Thank you. On the front page before you, you'll see a picture, and that is something that we started in Human Services a couple of years ago, and it's called Human Services on the Go. And that's where we have our workers going out into the community, into various neighborhoods to reach out for various issues, whether that's Narcan, education on behavioral health services we have to offer, public health, just a number of things. So we wanted to highlight that as one of our focal points and things that we do here in Human Services. It's not just sitting in this building waiting for people to come to us. This next several pages are a description of the various divisions in Human Services, some highlights on the services they provide. Certainly it's a lot more than that, but did not want to provide you with a huge booklet of information. We'll be sharing that in Human Services Committee for the next couple of years, so feel free to stop in those meetings if something catches your interest. The last page of our handout really is to focus on the 2025 budget. One of the things we'll be looking at in 25 is exploring the possibility of creating a division of behavioral health services. For some background, currently our behavioral health services is housed in our Division of Aging and Disability Services. As everyone knows, behavioral health issues continue to increase in our community, just like every other community in this state. And we felt it was time that we break that out in order to really concentrate on growth in those areas and to provide better access to services. This would include our opioid settlement dollars would go into that division, and several shifts of staff that are currently involved in that. We'd also continue with the Division of Aging and Disability. With a growing number of folks in aging, that's really becoming a lot for one person to manage as a division director. The next thing I will briefly mention, because I think our sheriff is going to give about a half-hour presentation on it, is the embedded social work crisis model, and that is working with the sheriff's department in our 25 budget in order to see if we can get a social worker, a county social worker, in the sheriff's department that would help respond to those calls that are really behavioral health driven, and taking some of the things off law enforcement so they can go back and doing what they do better, and we have a social worker trained to help de-escalate those situations. Next, we have some maintenance staff over at Brookside that we're looking at possibly reclassifying to better align with some of the duties and responsibilities that need to be completed in that building. And then support of senior nutrition programs as demand has increased and food costs have also increased. You can see in that chart that we have before you, in 2023, we provided over 100,000 meals to folks in need. So that continues to go up, and we need to figure out various ways to continue to fund that. Switching over to, yes, sir.
I have a question about the embedded social worker crisis model. Are you looking for that to be a one-person job, or how do you envision that? Is that going to be training with the sheriff's department? Because I don't know how one person can go on all those calls, and I mean, how is that going to, maybe I can direct that to the sheriff?
You probably could, but right now I think we're talking one person kind of as a pilot to see how it goes. This is a model that is used throughout the country and certainly in the southeast region, and the sheriff can probably get more into that during his presentation. And then if we're still not answering the question, we'll circle back.
Well, I like the plan and I like the idea, but is it a pebble in a pond, or is it something that, I mean, I want to hear how it's going to work, but I'll wait to hear from.
Yeah, I think those will be discussions certainly moving forward to say, is this a first shift, a second shift, a third shift person or persons? And what would that funding look like in order for that to occur? So yeah, those are the conversations we'll have moving forward with the sheriff and his team.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We do have the state budget that they'll begin putting together here in early 25 for the 25-27 years. The state does a 2-year budget, and some of this funding will come to us starting in July of next year. And the first one you see are basic funding that we always get from the state, whether community aids, basic county allocation, a children and families allocation, a funding source called youth aids, and then income maintenance administration, all things that we'd like to discuss with them about possible increases. Under behavioral health services, a request to fully fund, Medicaid fund the community support program, which is a program that deals with people with severe and persistent mental illness in our community. Right now, Medicaid covers about 60% of that, and the rest, 40%, falls back into our labs. An increase in adult protective service funding. It's been something the state put in their budget the last time around, and we're hoping they'll continue to increase that funding as we continue to get more and more calls with people concerned about our older population. And then also an increase in the Alzheimer's Family Caregiver Support Program, which we've continued to see an increase in requests for that. So that's what I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Carrie's here. Does Carrie want to give just a little snapshot of the Lake Behavioral, how much, I know she's not, if Carrie wants to maybe come up and give, or she got, okay, you've got a mic, a little bit about Lake and where we're at with Lake Behavioral Health.
Sure. So in May 30th, we went live with being able to utilize Lake Behavioral Hospital, which is in Waukegan. We're the first county in the state of Wisconsin that has both the DHS and DOJ approved contract to utilize a 51 reception facility outside of our state. And a 51 reception facility means those that are placed on a Chapter 51 by law enforcement, that's the psychiatric facility that the person can go to. This was in a process that took almost 6 years to go from idea to, boy, couldn't we just utilize 100 and at the time 40 beds that just were about 20 minutes away from us, opposed to using either Winnebago or Mental Health Institute, which was several hours away from us at an exorbitant cost. So just roughly at this point to date, if we take a look at all of the days of care that we have been able to access at Lake, if we assume that those individuals may have went to either Mendota or Winnebago, we have saved close to $800,000 since June of 2023.
And some of the other benefits are not by not going that far away from home, patient care is closer to home, family reunification, and then they get services closer to home.
Certainly with it 20 minutes away, if an individual is brought up to either Mendota or Winnebago under Chapter 51, that individual has no ability to stay within that psychiatric facility on a voluntary basis. So if you were to brought to Winnebago, Mendota, and you wanted to engage in voluntary services, or if there wasn't enough clinical need or the burden of dangerousness was not met, the person would have to be discharged from that facility, whether they wanted to leave or were ready to leave. So there was just a lot of barriers to good health, access to good health care. This is closer, natural supports are available. There's a wide variety of different types of units at Lake. So we're just really pleased with that. There's been a tremendous amount of people in this room actually went and toured Lake. Supervisor Gens was one of the first that really came with us several years ago to continue to explore if this was a good option. And so really like to thank everybody that jumped in early on to make this happen.
Thank you, Carrie, for that update. And that leads us to the final big three, and with the Sheriff's Department, and there is a packet as well, so make sure pull that up.
Before
Yep.
Before anyone starts a timer on me, just let you know, I would like to add something to what Carrie said. Being law enforcement, public safety, what we focus on and the individuals that are in distress, right? An individual that's going to a Chapter 51 or going to emergency detention, that person's probably likely having the worst moments in their life, right? So to not have a 2.5 hour trip after a 4 or 5 hour medical clearance, getting that individual in need to a less restrictive setting, the least restrictive setting, the fastest, is the best opportunity for that individual to heal, right? So the effort to being the first in the state. And believe me when I tell you, when we go to the conferences, Chief Deputy and I and our command staff, the rest of the state, there's a lot of parts of the state that this will work. Think about Hudson, Wisconsin. Think about the Twin Cities, the resources they have there, the money that she's talking about. It's unprecedented that we've saved already. And getting the deputies back on the road, patrolling, protecting your families, literally within half an hour, it's an unprecedented benefit. So thank you to everybody from Human Services, because there's some of the things I'm going to talk about. We wouldn't be able to improve the sheriff's office without them. So thank you to all of you for that. Now you can set your timers. Thank you, John. I'm getting mine going. And start. No, seriously, thank you everybody for your attention tonight. I'd like to talk about, there's several pages of fine print, and you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to cover every bit of that. What I want to talk about is I'm going to jump right into what John was talking about with the crisis worker embedded. All the fine details are not pinned down. The money is not necessarily pinned down yet, okay? And these are not the type of crisis workers we've used in the past. It's one of the reasons that we didn't have it yet. A lot of our crisis staff are coming from right out of school. They're very young, okay? So it's very difficult. So we're trying to get a very robust program, but it's going to take a lot of planning, and we'll go over all of it with you as we go. So the idea there, the scope of it, the goal, like John said, connect these residents with resources more quickly, free up deputies on mental health related calls, get them back on the road. Like I talked about, there's so many resources there and so many people that need help. So it's benefiting a lot of people. I'd like to talk about the new county supervisors. Thank you for what you're doing, and let you know at the sheriff's office, we have so much going on. You can tell from the front of our packet. We welcome you to do a ride along. A lot of people in the room have done ride alongs with us. And if you want to tour the jail, things of that nature, we're ready to do that with you. So we'll get that put together in the near future. So thank you for the new full-time employees last year. Let me tell you what those 2 full-time employees did. We were able to start a second shift detective bureau. We've never had that before. These 2 young detectives caught some very serious cases in their first and second year. We had a 15-year-old girl from the West End go missing. I'm sure some of you remember that. They worked day and night. I saw them walking around like zombies a couple times. They hadn't gone home in days. They found her. She was being human trafficked. She was in Baltimore. They worked with a task force out in Baltimore, sat on a house. They found the suspect, found the girl. She's back home with her mother. He's in jail. Same 2 detectives worked a child exploitation case here locally. They branched out all over the state and all over the country. They worked with DCI to make that case. Had some very influential people involved with it. And now the FBI is taking it over because it's going all over the country. We can never articulate how many kids are being saved because they didn't go to bed and they work like that. And if it wasn't for the people in this room, we wouldn't have those detectives, and calls would have been missed, and they would have had to wait till Monday morning, things of that nature. Sometimes. I'm being facetious because I know those folks, and they don't really go home and they don't miss calls. At any rate, there are some unprecedented successes that we've had. We have an issue with this microphone too. We can't even talk about them because those cases are still open. We've been chasing drugs and criminals all over this county since I stepped in office. They were doing that prior, but we've really pumped it up. We have some really good cases. We've made some really good arrests. But now we're focusing on some things that happened here with the drownings, public safety, horses. I'm serious, this is a crazy thing. We put together some new units. Marine unit, we've taken it into a contract situation where the municipalities are contracting with us to provide coverage on those lakes all over the county. Something that has never been done in this way. Animal control contracts. We've been at a deficit in this county for taking care of animals, livestock. I mean, we had a crash recently, tragedy, a man lost his life, hit a cow right in the road. Came right through his car. Yesterday, we had 2 horses. It sounds almost benign, right? Well, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They're on 100th Avenue running towards Highway E. that's a tragedy in seconds. We have several deputies that are specially trained, and we have one Deputy Sorensen. She has a gift, and she got there, and these other half dozen deputies couldn't get it done, but she did it in 5 minutes, had them in the rope. So we have a data analyst position that we did not have. That data analyst has improved our data generation. She's helped with us giving our municipalities these contracts, up-to-date information. Quality, I'm not going to say that we were bad before, but growing pains, right? We have been able to redistrict our patrol assets based on her updated information, and that goes live tomorrow. We've redone so many things in the agency based on the benefits of programs you've helped us build. And I want to say thank you for all of that. Back to human services. I said this last year, that this was the Kenosha County Sheriff's Office is probably the #1 mental health provider in the county. Detentions, that's the way it works, right? Well, with our human services, we have improved, I believe, we've improved the quality of life for our in-custody individuals, all right? The folks that we have, we've brought MAT, medication-assisted treatment, back into our detention facilities to help our substance use disorder folks. This was not my forte before I became the sheriff, and with their help, we've been able to improve a lot of lives and help a lot of folks. Addiction and mental health services, it was not my specialty, but I'll tell you, because of the help that we've received and the staff that we have in place, things have been improving like crazy. I'm very proud of the staff. I feel blessed, the assistance we've received, and I look forward to showing some of that off and seeing it grow even further. So I don't have a lot of answers for you, Mr. Gens, about an embedded crisis worker, but we have a model put together, and all the counties around us locally are doing it, and some of them have great results and great examples, and some have struggled, but we're using all those examples to build ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I just want to comment on a couple of things. On the Marine unit, the boat that was put into the budget 2 years ago through bonding will be arriving shortly. Again, it needed to be upfitted, and so there's additional resources that we had found through the closeout resolution to help them make sure that the price of things, the cost of things have gone up dramatically. And again, we could pay for the boat, but then they needed the items to go along with the boat so it could be on the water and be recognized and be utilized appropriately. The drownings, again, that was 2 summers ago. We had several drownings on Lake Michigan. We had Powers Lake, Silver Lake, and at the campground. Just definitely tragic situations when it comes to our waterways, our inland lakes, and Lake Michigan. Again, at Lake Michigan, it's a partnership between the fire department, the law enforcement, and the Coast Guard. On our inland lakes, it's literally between the fire department and law enforcement. I was out on scene on the Silver Lake call shortly, about a couple hours after it happened. They were still in the recovery mode, and was actually working with a Marine unit from Libertyville, Illinois, that had a specialized piece of equipment that they utilized to find the victim and recover him as quickly as they could. And again, it was a nice day on that particular drowning incident. To the mental health, I just wanted to point out in the sheriff's remarks, I've been working with, our team has been working with your finance team on the request, on a grant request that wasn't completed previously, and that we weren't successful in getting it last year. We're going to continue to push for it and work with our legislators to ask them for letters of support, because mental health and peer support for our law enforcement officers every day is so critical. And then with the embedding of the crisis worker, again, working with the other counties on their particular program. I have reached out. I was in Walworth County a couple weeks ago for a different training, but ended up talking to the state legislators and the county board supervisor over there about how that particular program is working and how they're actually able to free up time by, again, each situation is so different. So when you have that crisis worker, unfortunately, even in my own, I was going to get my mail one night about 2 months ago, and unfortunately somebody was literally dropped on the end of my driveway, and I had to call the sheriff's department, and we were able to intercede with crisis. And again, but it took 2 deputies off the road for a little bit of time when the woman truly needed a crisis worker. But to get crisis there, you needed to call 911. So it is those challenging situations where you just don't know. You could be anywhere in our county, and again, making sure that people have access to the resources that they need and how to contact them. And that particular woman had already been through crisis at a previous encounter, so she knew exactly what I meant when I said, "Can I call crisis to help you?" She knew exactly what I meant. So again, but those are the things that our men and women every day are facing on the street. At this time, I'd love to open it up to questions for any supervisors. I know we could kind of, now that you had time to give an overview of the three big areas, or if there was something that we didn't cover tonight, or something you wanted to share with the rest of the members of your county board team here, or turning it over to Monica if you had something that you wanted to. Okay. All right. Do any of the directors want to comment and have other questions at all? All right. I'm sure you can.
I did go over, so if you had the under, sorry. No, yeah. For the new supervisors, I went 24 minutes last year. Yeah, they were just looking at me like, shut up. The only thing I want to say, if you look at the cover sheet, lower left-hand corner, just a list of all the different things that we do, the different departments, divisions, our specialty units, and the questions that we get frequently about our overtime budget. And we're always working on that. We're working towards that. We had a way longer command staff meeting today than I wanted to have. We're looking at everything to try to fix this, right? To try to improve it. Changing our schedule, which we've had forever and ever. So these moves are not taken lightly. They're very big, right? So I don't know. They're making fun of me back here. What are you doing? So what I just want to say is all these different specialty teams, which I tried to articulate here how necessary they are. Most of that training happens on overtime. So we're trying to come up with a different model that will stave off some of that expensive overtime. But we need the training, and it's going to come down to less personnel and teams and things of that nature. But that's not what we want to do, and we don't want to lose anything in public safety. And so we're going to do the best we can to save as much as we can and keeping everyone in this community as safe as we can. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Sheriff. I do want to point out the other two packets. So we had Infotech, and so could Mike stand up and just say hello. So this packet was produced by Mike and his team. It gives a great overview of our IT services. You might not realize how important it is to have cybersecurity. I know some of the supervisors, one of the new supervisors might understand the cybersecurity aspect, but there's a lot of information on things that we have going forward. Mike, did you want to say anything, since we're a little bit, actually we're under my time too?
Only if you want me to.
Briefly.
So the packet that I pulled together, since we do have a bit of a budget process before it gets to the finance committee and the county board review. I do have a walkthrough of what we go through, which is working with the departments and divisions, gathering their needs, scoping out what their requirements are, and really spending some time to understand what they're looking for. As you can imagine, as we've talked through with everyone, we get a wide range of requests. We have, all the departments have unique needs. The sheriff's department has unique needs from the human services, from the DPW, and it's one of the reasons why I like being in IT, because we get to see all the different challenges that everyone has and work with them to come up with solutions for that. The big thing that's for the budget process I want to bring up is there is, as we gather all those requirements and kind of pull together what everyone's looking for, that does get presented to the ITSC, which is led by a number of the leaders and the department heads. So we got finance is on that team, HR is on that team, public works, human services, sheriff's department, and county executive's office, and all of us kind of work together and collaborate to really identify which requests are the most
priorities.
Yeah, highest priorities to move forward, to be presented in the budget process. So yeah, brief.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And then there's the HR handout as well, and Clara and your team put that document together. Clara, you just wanted to give a brief.
Sure. We work with all of the divisions throughout the budget process as they evaluate and analyze their staffing needs and put forward requests. We work with the budget team and finance to work through those and keep them in perspective with the overall needs of the county. In addition, through the budget process, I'll be working with the budget team on health insurance, workers' compensation, those areas.
All right, thank you, Clara. Any other questions for the budget process going forward? All right. Seems none. I just want to point out one last thing. If you wanted to check out next to the food line, there's a refresh there, and I'll be talking more about that at the next time we're together I'm in front of you and giving you a heads up. So again, for those who might not, who've already seen it, you know what I am talking about. For those who haven't seen it, feel free to stop by and take a look. And again, so with that, I believe that's it. And I just really want to thank everybody for taking time out of your schedules tonight to coming forward. And again, to the division and directors, again, thank you so much as well. And I know over the next few months, you're going to get to know us a little bit more closely. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to make contact with them tonight offline, and look forward to working with you over the next few months.